Hello, I'm Bryn Thomas, an agronomist at Spunhill, and I'm here on the Shropshire-Wales border to have a chat with Lawrence Owen, who's a National Test Sprayer Scheme spray tester. So Lawrence, apart from the sprayer testing, you do other things in the day job?
I've got I've got a small farm and a small contractor business, which includes crop spraying.
Right.
So the sprayer testing runs nicely alongside the contractor and the spray operator business.
Yeah, good. And what sort of geographical area do you cover with the sprayer testing?
I will cover just about anywhere. I've been Telford, Welsh Coast, Chester, Wrexham.
Oh, fair way then.
Just about, yeah.
Good.
Anywhere, if someone wants a test done, I will do it. I just charge a little bit more for transport, but otherwise, yeah, don't mind.
Yeah. And what sort of machines have you been testing? What sort of
I test all liquid application, down to from self-propelled, doesn't matter what width, down to quarter brake sprayers, weed wipers. I don't do fogging machines, but weed wipers, any liquid applicator.
Right, okay, yeah. So what we're looking at this morning in this short video is the National Sprayer Testing Scheme produces a report every year with the common faults that are found, and over 75% of the faults involve drips and leaks. So we thought we'd spend a bit of time with Lawrence looking at the sprayer, and he can maybe highlight some of the faults that he's found. And just as a reminder that the sprayers now legally have to be tested from the 26th of November 2020 every 3 years. Obviously, if you're on a farm assurance scheme, that's every 12 months anyway. And the leaks are very important to address because they are the main source of point source contamination, pollution of pesticides. So if we move over, we'll spend a few minutes just looking at the sprayer now with Lawrence. Okay, so we're at the sprayer now and just trying to point out some of the key areas where you're finding faults when you do the testing, Lawrence, and highlighting the leaks and drips. And we've got the 3 different categories on the spray sheet, so on the NSTS sheet.
You've got the leaks when it's just tank full, stationary. You've got the leaks, pump running but not spraying, and you've got your leaks when it's actually spraying.
That's it, yeah. Well, the big area is on the diaphragm check valves. That's the most common fault that's picked up.
When I first come to a test, the best idea is I've got to have the sprayer tank full of water, full of clean water. So the first check would be just fill it with clean water and have a look around. Any hose connections, pump connections for drips and leaks. With PTO not running, just have a walk around. On nice dry concrete is a good idea. Then have the pump running, have another look around. Finally, put the spray boom to spray, but push the pressure up to 5 to 6 bar, which will highlight any drips, especially on the spray boom. Common faults are the GCV diaphragms, as well as not when shut off, doesn't stop the dripping. It will also leak around here. It also highlights O-rings in pipe connections that have failed. At 2.5, 3 bar may not leak, but at 6 bar, 5 to 6 bar will show it up, especially behind the sprayer tank.
Yes.
As the operator will be able to see each side on the boom. But behind, there's no end of people with drips completely behind the tractor and no idea they were there.
And quite often, you know, we see on the faults, it's when the sprayer is static, which I always think just amazes me, that there's leaks there when it's just standing in the shed.
Yep, it will be. Pipe clamps, O-rings, they perish on the pipes that are coming out of the tank itself, perish in cracked hoses, they will leak.
What other common faults do you find when you're testing?
If we start on the dry side, what I call the dry side, right the water, is make sure your boom is relatively straight. It's the yaw, and when it's fully out, press on one end so it comes back to level. It's just push it down so it comes back to level. Make sure there's not too much play in the brake backs, on the springs. Another newly introduced measure is the end of the booms must have protection. So when the end of the boom touches the ground, it must hit a protection bar before the end of the nozzle. A lot of sprayers have these on, or trailing shoes. A lot of old sprayers the bolts have come out or broken off. It's quite an easy fix. You just need a little teeny piece of flat material pointing outwards, bolted to the boom, so if it touches the ground, it does not hit the nozzle.
Yes.
All the nozzles must be now the same manufacturer, as well as the same colour, which I do come across with multiple output nozzles on the same machine. I can't quite believe, but they must be the same brand now as well. That's a new stipulation.
Yes, yeah. Another common fault is the pressure gauge, Lawrence. What do you find with the pressure gauges?
Yes. There is I fit quite a few pressure gauges, not so much for the inaccuracy, but for the visibility of the scale. Can be cloudy, gone cloudy inside the glass. On the divisions, they must be 0.2 divisions, and of an appropriate scale, total scale on the pressure gauge. A 0 to 10 bar gives you a nice clear scale. The other quite a big common one on pressure gauges when tested on my master gauge is an inaccuracy of aft to 1 bar, principally because usually the vent has not been opened. The pressure builds up, the gauges are manufactured with glycerin inside and sealed, but when fitted upright must be vented by piercing the rubber back or open the little tap on the top. That is quite a common remedy to make a gauge accurate again.
Yes, yeah. Another common one is the sight gauge. What about the faults on the sight gauge?
Sight gauges, yeah, very common. Clear plastic tube, pendimethyline, autumn herbicide, they're orange or yellowy. If the tank is clear, a lot of the cheaper end market, if the tank is, if the water is visible through the tank plastic and has got a calibration up the front of the tank, that is passable, even though the sight tube may be discoloured. Yeah, and another real bad one is operating labels.
Right, yeah.
On the valves,
yeah.
Just write in where it was, just write what it does, on, off, and what it does.
Yeah.
The basic idea behind that is, if you have an accident, somebody turns up in the yard and goes, how do I turn this off?
Yeah.
If it says off, you press off.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
I have failed one machine for corrosion. Corrosion on the main frame, tank structure, boom, integrity. Yes, it has the tank is going to be strapped in tight. That's quite a common fault on some machines. The straps have come loose over the tanks. Boom structure, bolts coming loose. That's quite a common thing. A lot of people think the sprayer's got to look like a modern machine. No, it hasn't. It doesn't matter if it's old. It's got just to be safe.
Yeah.
And fit for purpose. Another common fault on sprayers are the end stop. When the boom folds out, these bolts here come slack.
Right.
So when it folds round, the ram is pushing it round, the bolt should stop equally, same pressure on the other part of the boom. These bolts come loose, falls out. Boom comes round, tries to twist it. That is quite a common fault of that. I see that quite a lot. Yeah. If it's been left a long time, you will find cracking on the rams where it's been over pushing, over stretching. That will cause cracking into the structure.
Yeah.
Rust, corrosion, stay bars can get full of water. Rust off, come straight up. Rust off there, you just give it a bit of a pull, and come off in your hand.
So I'd like to thank you, Lawrence, for taking time to run over some of the common faults found on the spray when you're doing the testing. It's good to get your insight, and I think the key thing is that what we're trying to do is to make the most of the spray windows that we get, because we know spray operators and farmers we only get limited spray windows, so having the sprayer ready to go fit for purpose is important, and also to protect the environment, and also to get economic return from the pesticides that we're putting through the sprayer. And if you can save a bit of money ahead of the test, obviously, to make sure it goes through hopefully without any fails. So if people want more information, there's a voluntary initiative website, or they can speak to their local agronomist for more advice. So thanks very much for your time, Lawrence.
Thank you.